Hello fellow duelists, this is Shadow of the Moon, and today I'm actually going to be showcasing the start of the month, my wife's deck profile. So I'm going to be doing a video, there she is, say hello dollfie.
Hello.
I'm going to be doing a deck profile once a week, showcasing some of her favorite decks that she uses, and this is just meant to be something fun. I'm going to be disabling comments, for obvious reasons, so without any further ado, let's go ahead and showcase all these deck profiles. So March is actually me and my wife Dollfie's anniversary month, so I thought it would be sweet to kind of give her the spotlight, so to speak, and let her showcase her 4 favorite decks that she's been working really hard on. And the first one is going to be the Darkworld deck, because this one is actually a really good deck and horrible to go up against, especially when she gets going with all her card destructions and hand destructions and makes it to where I don't really have anything to play anymore. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and go straight on with the deck profile. So Dollfie, go ahead and take the extra deck away for a second, because that will be showcased later. And then you can now start with the deck profile.
Okay.
And this is her own custom playmat.
And this is my custom playmat. So I'll be starting by can you see that?
I sure can.
Only one Rainbow or Volcano of Darkworld. This is a card that I've noticed not a lot of people play with. I personally like including it in my deck. In order to special summon it, you just have to return Grapha, which is a level 7, oh, really any of them, level 7 or lower Darkworld monster, so it doesn't have to be Grapha. Return it from the field to the hand, and if he gets discarded, you can use this to actually search for a level 5 or higher Darkworld monster, except for him, obviously. So if he was discarded from your hand by an opponent's card effect, you can special summon a level 4 or lower Darkworld monster from your deck or graveyard to either side of the field.
Oh, that actually makes him really good, because he can search for cards and special summon Darkworld monsters. And then these guys, oh my god.
I don't understand how a lot of people only play with 2. You kind of have to have 3, especially if you're running the fusion monster in here. I've never had an issue bringing out all 3 on the field pretty quickly and easily. So I think everyone knows what Grapha does, but for those who don't, you can special summon this card from your graveyard by returning a face-up Darkworld monster you control to the hand, except for Grapha. Now, if he gets discarded to the graveyard by card effect, you can target one card your opponent controls and destroy that target. Now, back when this card first came out, that was really good. A lot of cards nowadays can't be targeted or can't be destroyed by card effects, so maybe that secondary effect is not as good, but he's still good for a special summon, and like I said, you can use him to go into the fusion monster.
Plus, he's an extra special summon, so he swarms.
Yes.
Because this deck is
and with the field spell, he does become a 3000. He is a 2700 to begin with.
Alright, so we got 3 of those bad boys.
If this card was discarded from your hand by an opponent's card effect, you can look at a random card in your opponent's hand. Then if it was a monster, you can special summon it to your side of the field.
Okay, ooh. And it makes it really good, because the fusion is just like really way overpowered too.
There are 2 Silvas in here.
We got 2 Silvas.
Now, Silva, if he's discarded by a card effect, you just special summon him from the graveyard. If he was discarded by an opponent's card effect, your opponent has to return exactly 2 cards from their hand to the bottom of their deck in any order.
So he's good because of being the special summon, because he's going to be discarded like almost always immediately.
2 golds. Again, if
Same
it gets
thing.
discarded by a card effect, you can special summon it. And if it's discarded by an opponent's card effect, you can target up to 2 cards your opponent controls and special summon this card from the graveyard, then destroy those cards. 3 snows. I don't understand how some people don't play with any snows. This is a very powerful searcher. Now, what C does is, if C is discarded to the graveyard by a card effect, you can add a Darkworld card from your deck to your hand.
Is it because she's banned or something?
I don't know. If she's discarded by an opponent's card effect, you can target a monster in your opponent's graveyard and special summon it. So whole primary effect is why I use her. She searches for anything. The field spell, any of the Darkworld support. It doesn't have to be a monster. Darkworld card.
I don't get why no one uses 3 of her.
I don't know. Now, Bige, I have noticed more people are starting to actually use Vige. I didn't use him for the longest time. I'm happy that I'm starting to include him again. He's really simple. If he's discarded by a card effect, any card effect, you can just special summon him. Genta, this is one of the newer Darkworld cards. I was surprised at how useful he is. You can only special summon him if once per turn. So in order to special summon him, you actually have to banish him first, which with the field spell, that's pretty easily done.
That's not an issue at all.
Now, here's your searcher for your field spell. You discard him to the graveyard to add a Gates of Darkworld from your deck to your hand. So between him and Snow, it's not an issue bringing out.
Oh no.
I'm only including 2 brows. I know a lot of people play with 3, so that's personal preference. I felt that I didn't really need the extra draw power. If he's discarded to the graveyard by a card effect, draw a card. If it was by an opponent's card effect, you can draw 2 cards instead. This is Paul, again, one of the newer Darkworld monsters. If he's discarded by a card effect, target 1 Darkworld monster in your graveyard and special summon it to either field. If he was discarded by an opponent's card effect, you can special summon to either field one of your field monsters that's banished, or in your hand or graveyard.
Oh, he's actually really good.
So you can use him to get back any of the ones in your graveyard.
Do you really think the Darkworld, like the new support, really helped out?
It did. Now, I'm happy that comments are disabled for this, because I only have 1 Bigfoot in here, thinking of increasing it to 2, but I personally would never play with 3, because when I was playing with 3, I found there were a lot of times that this was a dead draw. Yeah, or there were times I had 2, or sometimes even all 3 in my hand. It just wasn't that useful, so I decided to take some of these cards away in order to put more emphasis on actual discard power. Also, since it's not a Darkworld card, you can't use it for a lot of the Darkworld cards' effects.
No, you're just using it for the discard, like if it gets discarded.
Now, it is a good card. You can reveal this card in your hand. Your opponent randomly chooses 1 card from your hand, then you discard the chosen card. Now, if it was not him, you get to special summon him and draw a card. If they do choose him, you get to destroy a card, a face-up card your opponent controls. So he has 2 really good effects.
He's really good. I mean, if you wanted to increase him by like 2, honey, you could. But I mean, honestly,
I plan on putting a second one in. Now, Mothman, I do have 3 of this.
Oh, Mothman's just really good.
Because Mothman all around is really good. You can reveal Mothman from your hand. Your opponent randomly chooses a card from your hand. Then you have to discard that card. If the card was not Mothman, you can special summon Mothman and draw a card. If it was Mothman, basically he acts as a Darkworld dealings. Both players draw a card and then discard a card.
And it's really bad, especially for when you're playing against it and you're going first, because you basically discarded my entire hand multiple times, whatever I have in the graveyard.
And my turn is never ending.
And then this is the new spell.
Darkworld Assassin. So this is the Fusion card. This is what you will use to bring out the Fusion monster. Which I will get to that in a minute. During the main phase, Fusion summon 1 Fiend Fusion monster from your extra deck. By banishing materials mentioned on it from your field or graveyard. So you can use it from your field or graveyard. Or, if you're Fusion summoning a Darkworld monster, you can discard monsters as the material.
And it's a quick play, so you can play it on your turn, your opponent's turn too.
I have often played it on my husband's turn, and he's been just so ecstatic over that. Also, you get an additional play out of it, because during your main phase, if it's in your graveyard, you can add it to your hand by discarding a Darkworld monster. So you can keep using it.
Imagine getting 3 of those on the field at the same time, because even if it's once per turn.
Of the fusions.
Oh my gosh.
Gates of Darkworld. You really need to include 3 of this in the deck. All field monsters gain 300 attack and defense. Okay, the first is not that big of a deal.
You're mostly using it for the discard and all that.
But you're mainly using it for the secondary effect, which is banish a fiend type monster, which you can use to special summon Genta. And then discard a fiend type monster, which you know triggers all of their effects, and then you draw a card.
Ooh, I do not know why this isn't like limited.
3 card destructions, which works in my favor, not so much for my opponent. So basically, both players have to discard their entire hand, then they draw the same number of cards that they discarded. That's pretty self-explanatory. Hand destruction, 3 of these. Each player sends 2 cards from their hand to the graveyard, then draws 2 cards. So I had Darkworld Dealings in here, and I actually replaced it with hand destruction because obviously 2 cards are better than 1, and it is a quick play.
Oh, yeah.
And 2 Allure of Darkness to give me even more draw power. Plus, you can use this to banish Dark Monster, so you could use this to special summon Genta, which is draw 2 cards and banish a Dark Monster from your hand. If you don't have any in your hand, send your whole hand to the graveyard, which works in my favor, because I can just discard everything.
What I like about Allure, and that's why it's in most of my decks, is the draw 2 first, then banish.
Yeah.
So you don't have to waste it. You can draw the 2.
Yes.
And then this is the
Darkworld Punishment, which I have actually not gotten to play that much because I never seem to draw it, even though I have 3. So this is the only trap card in this deck. When a monster or monsters would be normal special summon, you can negate the summon, and if you do, destroy the monsters or monster and discard a feed monster. If a Darkworld monster you control will be destroyed by battle or an opponent's card effect, banish this card from your graveyard instead. So it negates special or normal summons. Plus, it prevents your Darkworld monsters from getting destroyed. So this is actually a good all-around negate card.
So that's going to be it for the main deck. And I guess now we're going to be moving on to the extra deck.
And now for the extra deck. We have 3 copies of Grapha, Dragon Overlord of Darkworld. Some people have said that he's kind of hard to bring out. I've never been able to bring all 3 out, but I have brought 2 out. A few times, pretty easily. So all he requires is a Grapha plus a Dark Monster.
Which
That's
is
it.
like
It's a 3200, becomes a 3500 with the field spell. When your opponent activates a monster effect or normal spell or trap card, while you have a card or cards in your hand, you can activate this effect. The activated effect becomes your opponent discards a card. So basically what that means is, if your opponent activates any monster effect, a spell or trap card, it negates the effect and turns it into your opponent discarding something from their hand instead. Which is really awful. It is only once per turn, sadly.
Yeah, but when you have
if you have multiples, then that means you get multiple negates.
That's crazy because you have multiple. Yeah, you could set up a field with like 5, 6 negates.
Now, also, if he leaves his... If this fusion summon card is in its owner's control, leaves the field because of an opponent's card through any means, you can special summon a Grapha Dragon Lord of Darkworld that's banished or in your graveyard. Then each player discards 1 card. So he's a good way to get your Grapha back, and then obviously you'll still have the spell card that was used to summon him, which you can bring back to your hand. So basically you can turn around and bring him back this next turn.
Are you sure you've never done this before? Because when I first started doing videos, I was very, 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 like, finicky and very, like, stuttery and nervous and stuff. You're just going through this. I think all those videos with you and me doing box openings and stuff probably helped, didn't it?
So, Appaloosa, this one is not in English.
Who cares?
I do not have the effect memorized, so maybe my husband can help me with this.
It's just once per chain, negate a monster
effect,
yeah,
it's a negate. The number of negates he has is dependent on how many link monsters you use.
That's it. Ooh.
Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. Which she requires 4+ effect monsters. She's kind of hard to bring out.
Yeah, but you swarm so much, it's easy.
You can also use one monster your opponent controls as material to link summon all. So really, she only requires 4 monsters, since you can steal one of your opponent's monsters. If she's link summoned, you can negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls. And she's unaffected by your opponent's activated effects, unless they specifically target this card. Once per turn, when your opponent activates a card or effect that special summons a monster from the graveyard, you can negate the activation.
Wait, is your Burning Abyss deck, are those light monsters?
The Burning Abyss deck?
Yeah. Are those light or dark? I think they're dark,
I think those are dark types. Boiled. I think everyone knows what this guy does by now. 3+ effect monsters. Neither player can target this card with monster effects. Once per turn, you can target a face-up monster on the field. It loses 500 attack and defense. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to this effect's activation. At the start of the damage step, if this card attacks an opponent's monster, you can place that opponent's monster in a zone this card points to and take control of it, but send it to the graveyard during the end phase of the next turn.
I think what's crazy is the fact that that card is in Duel Links now. Like,
yeah.
Like, why would you put Borreload in there?
So you just Skuldred, which is incredibly useful in this deck because of the massive draw power. So if you do use 4 monsters to get all the effects, this is what he does. When he's Link summoned, you can draw 4 cards, then place 3 cards from your hand on the bottom of your deck in any order, which, using them for the drawing the 4 is great because then you can choose that one card that you want to keep, which most of the time is one that you really need with this deck. Once per turn on your main phase, special summon a monster from your hand, and if a monster is normal special summon to a zone this card points to, the monster gains 300 attack and defense, which, if you combine that with the field spell, that means your monsters are getting a total of 600 attack and defense. Which that's making them beat sticks. Nightmare Phoenix. 2 monsters with different names. If this card is Link Summon, you can discard a card, then target a spell or trap your opponent controls and destroy it. If it's co-linked, I still have yet to figure that mechanic out. You can draw an additional card. Also, co-linked monsters cannot be destroyed by battle. Nightmare Unicorn, which is 2+ monsters with different names. If it's Link Summoned, you can discard a card, target 1 card on the field, return it to the deck. Then, if it's co-linked, draw a card. If there's any co-linked Nightmare monsters on the field, for your normal draw in your draw phase, draw 1 card for each different card name among those co-linked Nightmare monsters, instead of drawing just 1 card. Nightmare Cerberus, 2 monsters with different names. If this card is Link Summoned, discard a card, then target a special summon monster in your opponent's monster zone and destroy it. Then if this card was co-linked when this was activated, you can draw a card. I think I need to look up exactly how co-linking is done.
I'll have to make sure you look up.
We went to the Princess, which is just 2 dark monsters. I just mainly use this to just give my dark monsters an additional
link climb
500 attack and defense, and also it's just great for link climbing. Barricading Blocker. Barricade Blocker.
Oh, he's hard to say.
You discard a card and then add a continuous or field spell from your graveyard to your hand. So he's great for the discard ability, plus you can search for your field spell if it's been destroyed. And also face-up spells you control cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So he offers a little bit of protection, too. Number 38, Hope Harbinger, Dragon Titanic Galaxy. Say that 10 times fast. Which requires 2 level 8 monsters. Once per turn when a spell card or effect is activated on the field, you can negate that effect, and if you do, attach that card to this card as material. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can detach 1 material from this card, change the attack target to this card, and perform damage calculation. I think he's a little overly complicated, but he's in here because my husband recommended him. So. Tornado Dragon, 2 level 4 monsters. Detach a material from the card, then target a spell trap card and destroy it. So that's just for some Darkworld destruction. Dugaris, the Timeless, number 60. 2 level 4 monsters. Detach 2 materials from this card, then activate 1 of the following effects. Skip your next draw phase, then also draw 2 cards and discard a card. So that's really useful with the stack. Skip your next main phase. Special summon 1 monster from your graveyard in defense mode, or skip the battle phase of your next turn, but double the attack of 1 monster you control until the end of this turn. Mainly, I would just use him for the first effect.
Oh yeah, for the draw power.
And discarding.
Alright, so that's going to be it for this deck profile. This is your first ever deck profile on camera, so how do you feel about doing it?
As long as comments are disabled, I'm happy.
I'm not going to enable comments, trust me. What you see is what you get right here, so... No, but I mean, this deck is actually, it's really, really good because it forces your opponent to keep discarding their most important thing and all their resources while you're building up an entire field.
Which if your opponent has that smug look on their face because they have like this handful of negates or the best monsters, it's really entertaining to watch that face crumble when they're forced to discard their hand. And then if they end up drawing another good hand and then you make them discard that one, you know, you just slowly watch them lose more and more hope as the game goes on, and it's pretty funny.
I've done. Trust me, I've done that before too. I mean, I actually made it to a point where I've actually had to side in like Dimensional Shifter just to actually have a.
Now this deck is completely crippled against that card.
Oh, I know. I used to love against playing Edo Pro, playing Dimensional Shifter on their turn. They're like, oh,
it cripples it. You actually can't do anything, and you may as well just forfeit the game at that time. Which I actually did.
Because it's pretty much you can't do anything at that point. It's like everything's getting banished. I can't do anything. Nothing's in the graveyard.
Yeah, I mean, you need to activate the effects. All of the effects activate when they're discarded to the graveyard.
Exactly.
Without that, it's a pretty useless deck.
No, but nobody plays Dimensional Shifter anymore anyway. So
no, but it's a useful card to side deck if you're going against someone with the Darkworld deck. So just keep that in mind.
Alright, so that's going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for next week's video. That's going to be one of her other decks that I'm going to be having her showcase. And with that, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Alright, have a good one.